So, chapter 5 talks about meditation. When a person is so busy with everything else in life, how do you have time for meditation?
So yes, it is a practical issue when you have so much to do. Where do you find to do nothing, which is what meditation is all about. However, the issue is that when you do find time to meditate, you'll find that you are able to get to the crux of matters very quickly. You are much more calmer, peaceful, and in that process what happens is you get more clarity, more insight, more wisdom, and which helps you to make better decisions, which helps you to eliminate clutter from your life, and also tap into your spirit, which is boundless.
Now, how is it that you can get to the crux of the matter when you're doing nothing instead of actually just looking at your problems and figuring out strategies to address them?
See, sometimes because you have so much in your mind, and so much stress, and so many challenges, and so many issues, when you're trying to solve something with all that background, it becomes very difficult because you can't see the tree from the forest. And when you go into meditation, when you go into quietness, when you let go, suddenly things become much more clearer. And we have many examples of that in history. The example of gravity, when the apple falls from the tree, and you get wow, aha, right? So it happens in moments of when you're away from the problem rather than when you're in the problem. So it's really, you get the outside the box ideas when you're away from the quote unquote box.
How should a person meditate?
There are many techniques out there. People talk about different ways to meditate, but for me, basically, sitting even quietly near nature, near trees, near the ocean, near the water, and just even reflecting on nature is a powerful form of meditation because nature is inherently quiet. If you sit beside a tree and watch a tree for a while, you will notice that as the wind blows, the leaves move, and symbolizing that there's no resistance. It goes back, it comes back. It's not fighting the wind. And in life, when you are calmer, when you're quieter, when you're not having resistance, things happen much more effortlessly.
So, how is it that you can get insights when you're just observing nature, like insights to big problem issues that are happening in the world?
See, the bottom line is that we all have within us the capacity. We all have within us the power within, and the connection has gone away. And through quiet time, through being close to nature, which is quite inspiring, you are able to connect with that spirit, and with that process, able to tap into the genius which is always within you.
Does meditation really have a place in business when everything's ruled by numbers, science, things like that?
From a logical perspective, people might think not so, but there's a lot of research around the power of meditation, which helps you with the elimination of stress, which helps you to have a better immune system, which helps you with even having lower level of cholesterol and many other kind of connections. And the idea is when you're so stressed out, your productivity is actually lesser, not higher.
Now, what's the best time to meditate? I can't just drop all my work and then start in the middle of the office meditating.
So I think for me, the best time to meditate is in the early morning because that's the time when everybody's asleep, it's quiet, the nature is inviting and it's peaceful, so it's conducive to meditate and go into quietness. So I think that's the best time. And if you meditate at noon when there's so much noise around you and there's so much action, it's very difficult to become quiet.
What if I can't wake up early to meditate? What then?
Yeah, so that's fine. As Aristotle would say, wisdom is only wisdom if it's practical. If it's not practical, it's not wisdom. So if it doesn't work for you, then you have to find other ways. So what you could do is if you are able to go towards nature, maybe if nature is close by to your workplace, Then after work, you can go for 15-20 minutes and sit down near the ocean or near a place where birds are flying and trees and pond and water and whatever, and that will help you to become very quiet, peaceful, and connect with yourself. Now, let me go back to the morning example, is that if you're able to do the hour of power, which I talk about in my other book, The Corporate Sufi, 20 minutes meditation, 20 minutes exercise, and 20 minutes doing something uplifting, you start your day with a bang, something for your body exercise, something for your mind reading, and something for your soul meditation. And that 1 hour you invest, not expense, significantly enhances the next 23 hours. You're more dynamic, more energetic, more powerful. Now, if you cannot wake up in the morning, it's okay. Then try in the evening after work or maybe at lunchtime. But you have to be near an environment that is reflects that quiet space.
Now, where do you find this hour in the midst of raising children, having a spouse, all the work, family commitments? Where do you find this hour?
It's a good question. You see, if you go to home after work and you're so exhausted, you'll go home and you'll watch television and you'll read the newspaper and you'll eat food and you'll be exhausted and you will be there physically, but emotionally, spiritually, the connection is very weak with your family. But if you go home energized and empowered and excited and calmer, the less time you spend will be much more valuable, right? So in terms of at night, if you ask yourself, what do I do the last hour at night? And you'll find out that most people, or many people, watch TV, or they eat food in the kitchen and complain they're getting fat, or do something very menial. But if you sleep an hour earlier and wake up an hour early, as I mentioned before, you start the day with a bang, you'll be much more productive, get your work done faster, come home earlier, and be very, very satisfied with your day, because not only have you done your business demands and responsibilities, but you also looked after your health and your spirituality and your mental aptitude.
Now, if your thoughts keep interfering while you're meditating or you can't concentrate, does it really have a benefit? Isn't it just like watching TV?
Well, the first thing is when you get thoughts, don't fight the thoughts. Because if you fight the thoughts, you get more thoughts. So become like a feather in the river, which floats with the river, doesn't fight the river. Again, nature giving you the learning about how to meditate. So thoughts come, thoughts go, thoughts come, thoughts go. That's meditation. And the power is between thoughts, there's a small gap. And that gap is the power of meditation. And the bigger the gap, the bigger the power.
Now, does this gap get bigger with practice? And what if a person is having trouble with this?
So the more you try to achieve success, the less successful you become. So here is a question of let go. You let go, and as Wenda would say, let God. So when you let go and have less attachment to results and outcome, the more you are at peace, the more you invite that connection.
In chapter 9, you talk about corporate politics. Now, a lot of people would say the only way to shine is to be political. In chapter 9 of the book, it talks about corporate politics. Now, some would say that the only way to shine is to be political.
So politics are in all walks of life. You'll find them in business, you'll find them at home, you'll find them in the community, you'll find them in government. So it's all over the place. And the thing is that people feel that by being political, they can get ahead in the game of life, in business and otherwise. And some people do. But if you think about it in the long term, the only way to really succeed is to have merit, to be good at what you do. Because if you're just getting ahead by power struggle and by being political, it will be short-lived, because sooner or later people will find out the real you, what you're made of and what your qualities are, and therefore it won't be long-lasting for you.
Now, many people would say experience shows that it's who you know, not what you know.
That helps. Your networking and your contacts do help and gives you a little bit of an edge in terms of getting ahead, and you should do networking. The reality is that that's not enough. It has to be supported by meritocracy, by discipline, by going the extra mile by working hard. You have to be supporting the other things that you do.
A lot of time in business or in companies, you see the ones who schmooze are the ones who get ahead.
Yeah, so I think, when you are schmoozing to build relationship, when you're schmoozing to build trust, when you're schmoozing to know each other, that's fine. There's no issue with that. It's good because it builds the rapport. But if you're doing it only for political reasons, guess what? People who are smart will figure that out because they can see through you and it will backfire on you.
Now, how do you stay out of corporate politics when it's all around you, when others are getting you involved, when someone wants to talk about another colleague or the boss? It's hard to stay out of it because they think that you don't want to be part of the group.
Yes. Yes, so it is difficult. One of my editors was telling me that her mentor used to say that to get ahead in business, you have to be involved in politics, right? So the question is, if you cannot manage corporate politics, you have to be able to manage corporate politics in terms of try to make it more positive. So if you give a message, if you're a leader, if you give a message to your team that the way you're going to judge people is on merit, not on their other things, then they know that people are aware of this kind of games that people are playing. As far as you're concerned, if you get involved in gossip and listen to other people, it takes away your energy, your time, it drains you, and it keeps you away from bringing results in the end.
How do you stay out of politics when other members of your team, such as your colleague, want to gossip about another colleague or about the boss? How do you stay out of it without looking not as someone part of the...
Let me put it.
How do you stay out of corporate politics when members of your team want to discuss something about another colleague or talk about the boss and things like that? Because then they start to think you're not part of the team if you don't want to get involved in the politics.
So the key is that may not be able to avoid corporate politics, but the key is how to manage corporate politics. So the idea is that you want to be part of the team. However, you also want to make sure that you don't get into negative situations where you're backbiting a colleague or trying to put somebody else down because of your own personal gain. That's not what you are. So you want to communicate to the people around you that you are a team player. You will assist them when they need help. You will coach some, you will mentor some, those who are under you. But when it comes to negative behavior, whether it be backbiting, gossip, or even trying to put other people down for your personal gain, you're not in the game to do that. And if you're a leader, you want to communicate to the team that, look, the rewards that you will get, the steps of the corporate ladder you will climb will be based on merit, not on politics.
Okay, so what tips do you have to stay out of corporate politics?
Well, first, if you're seeing negative gossip happening, walk away. Walk away and make it very clear that you're not interested in that kind of discussion, because if you are a leader and superior, then you tell them, look, if you want to solve this and gossip about somebody else, go and meet the person, have a coffee with them and tell them on their face how you feel and resolve it, rather than talking behind their back, because talking behind people's back is cowardly. It is how would you feel if somebody else was talking about you? How much do they know you? It's judging others before judging yourself.